I hope you have a wonderful day, and I will share a meditation with you, along with some words that are part of the meditation practice. You see, meditation is something fundamental in the life of a man, of a woman, of every individual. We learn to position our body, to enter into a state of calmness, into a state of serenity, and we focus our attention on the specific thought that is present in our mind. When we bring the body into inactivity, into calmness, then we come to realize that after a certain period of time, it is the inner life, the thoughts that become apparent. Thoughts are crucial in our life. There are thoughts everywhere and forces within us, forces of thought, creative forces that shape our reality. We are populated and infused with thoughts, and thoughts are vibrant and thriving all around us. Obsessive thoughts can indeed occur. Our actions are profoundly shaped by the thoughts that guide us. To make thoughts materialize is the key to numerous things in life. We can gain control over our lives by managing our thoughts. I clarified to you that you possess the power within yourself and you have the environment surrounding you. The worlds that surround man are thoughts. We are constantly surrounded by thoughts, whether we are aware of them or not. And the first thing that meditation does is to show us this, that thoughts are important in our lives and that thoughts act all around us. You have the physical man, the man we see, and you have the man we don't see, that is to say the invisible side, the subtle side. Thought symbolizes the invisible, subtle side. You possess the heart, encompassing all the feelings and emotions within you, the dreams that are also surrounding us. And we perceive inside the heart a warmth, emotions, things within the heart. But emotions are not visible. We are able to observe their manifestation in the tangible form of the body, such as fear, joy, sadness, and harmony. So these are states of mind. But the soul itself that produces these states, we do not see them. They are all around us. We have lower in the center of the belly, where the will is located, and there are the desires, the will of man. We do not observe these things when we gaze upon the physical man. There exist two worlds, a visible world that we perceive and an invisible world that remains unseen. Both of these worlds are equally genuine and real. Having faith in an unseen world is not a mere superstition or unfounded belief. In reality, these worlds exist. As true as there is a candle, there is a flame, there is a house, there are trees, there is flowing water. All these things that can be seen are manifestations of what is hidden behind and cannot be seen, and that is the invisible. And who shows us these things? Well, it's first about starting to go within oneself and commence searching within oneself. The invisible aspect resides within oneself above all else. You are an invisible being. If you don't see it, if you don't separate the worlds, then you won't be able to see the great invisible. The bigger worlds, the subtler worlds. Beings say there are ghosts, there are spirits, there are angels, but it is only a belief. You really need to learn how to enter into subtlety, into delicacy. What is education? About going towards the invisible, the subtle, the delicate, the fine, to the noble. What is noble? A thought is noble, a feeling is noble. These are invisible entities that consistently manifest themselves through the visible side, through the physical body. A man who carries beautiful thoughts, noble feelings, and acts in accordance with his thoughts and feelings, then he manifests nobility in the visible world. A being who is deceitful, who is vile, who is malicious, around him there is that. He can hide very well, but there are always traces. And on the visible side, we will see that in reality he is deceitful, vile, he is not noble. Venturing into the higher realm entails entering a world that is subtle, delicate, and ethereal in nature. Why is meditation the key to life? Because in meditation, you start to observe yourself, to look at yourself. You are searching, what are my thoughts? When I communicate, what is the meaning behind my words? It is a habit. By doing these things, you'll realize there are worlds around you that you may not have imagined before. It is truly a journey. It is a learning experience. It is an education. It is an art of living. It is an art of living with consciousness and intelligence and with wisdom. Because if blind people drive blind people, then they all go into nothingness. It is the art of having eyes, of observing, of looking, of knowing who we are, of knowing what manifests in us and around us. You observe yourself and you really see that there are thoughts around you and that these thoughts are alive. Thoughts of you, recurring thoughts, things that come back incessantly. You can be trapped in a mental prison. You can be trapped in a mental universe and not be able to escape from this universe. You can be in a physical prison, but you can also be in a mental straitjacket, locked in concepts. Individual as a prisoner, locked in a limited worldview, unable to escape and unable to open yourself to others. There are handicaps to being physically disabled, there are handicaps in thoughts, in the mental body, and it is not necessarily visible. Men are confined, restricted, unable to soar, perceive objects, be receptive to others, for instance. Not understanding the other is a handicap in thinking in the heart. You can't open up to others, you lock them in. You cannot be wide. So when you begin observing yourself, you start to perceive that there is thought. She is alive and extremely important. She is nourishment for you, for others, for the world. If you have bad thoughts, it darkens you. If you have beautiful thoughts, it leads you to happiness, success. There are thoughts that attract bad luck. It's like a smell, like a perfume. There are thoughts that attract luck, that attract success, that attract happiness. There are thoughts that attract misfortune. It's their attitude, it's their way of being. They are linked with specific radio frequencies. And there is the aspect of transmitting and receiving signals. So if you are in these thoughts, then you attract these states of mind, these forces, these influences into your life. Then when you delve further, then you witness this exquisite beauty of the heart. And you observe that the heart within you, there like an enigma, a sanctuary, is linked to thought. There are thoughts that make the heart open up and flourish. There are thoughts that make the heart close down. It's a bit like in nature. There are flowers that open in the sun and they close. Look at winter. All nature falls asleep. And when it's spring and the sun comes back, everything starts to grow again, everything comes out, everything blossoms. Because there are feelings that freeze and then we can't do anything, it's time to sleep. There are feelings that call for everything to go towards abundance, so it's time to go towards the light. It is in the heart. Then when you go a little deeper, what do you see? The stomach. As an illustration, in males it is the spermatozoon, whereas in females it is the ovum, for instance. There in the belly. That is to say, all women carry an egg within their bodies. And all males possess a spermatozoon within their bodies, that is to say, a seed, a grain. Now, I'm telling you that these things are not mechanical. These are life mysteries. It's important. The sperm, it is crucial, because if it meets an egg, a whole new world emerges, creating a new human being. It's still something incredible, a being who will speak, who will sing, maybe a little Adolf Hitler, a Genghis Khan, or maybe a little Peter Donoff, a Mozart, and these are not the same seeds, they are worlds. These are separate worlds of thought. For what reason will a seed carry a little Adolf, and for what reason will another seed carry a Peter Donoff? Because these are worlds that manifest themselves, invisible worlds that manifest themselves even in the visible. When you have a little Adolf, you have all the thoughts, all the words, all the actions, all the feelings that have been spoken for such a being to come. So he comes, because thoughts always end up taking a body. And when you have a fucking egg that appears, you have all the words, all the thoughts, all the feelings that focus on this seed, this one, and the thought manifests itself. But these are big collective thoughts. And then you have a man, a woman, who corresponds to a collective thought of the world and who manifests either all the good or all the evil that has been thought. because every thought has an impact in all worlds. This is the message conveyed by meditation. You are never alone. You are always with everything. Being alone is an illusion because you breathe in the stars. No one can be alone. We are with the entire universe. When we walk on earth, we are with the whole earth. We are with all men. We carry all men inside us, all women, all children, all animals. Our thoughts, for example, towards animals will gradually guide us to the heart and to sex, that is the seed shaping our perspective. Girls, for instance, are more sensitive than boys. I recall my cousin, my grandfather was driving. He spots a rabbit crossing, so he illuminates it with his headlights and attempts to run it over to kill and retrieve it for making a stew to consume. And then, I think he had killed the rabbit. There was my cousin with me in the back, but she was screaming, "Poor little rabbit, you're mean," and she was insulting him. It would have been me, I would have taken one. But since it was the little girl, don't touch the little girls. So what did he do? He went out. Then he said, no, I didn't catch it, but he left it, scared of my cousin. And thus, you can see this act of driving, trying to kill the rabbit. It's a thought that's in the air. And man, in his visible aspect, is activated by thoughts that are invisible, which are actually habits of life that are transmitted from generation to generation. And we do not ask ourselves who is behind the thoughts, the actions that we do. We are somewhere puppets. You know, for there to be a puppet, there must be strings. We are connected by wires, that is, links with worlds, and these worlds animate us. And frequently, most men don't know why they do things in life. They never ask themselves any questions about their actions. Why are there eyes? Why do we talk? Why are there ears? What is the purpose of life on earth? We don't ask ourselves all these questions. We live in it in a sort of unconsciousness. And we don't know who's the soul that animates us. What makes us move? What gets us up in the morning? Why are we on earth? We no longer ask ourselves these significant questions. We no longer possess these answers. We do not elevate thoughts to great things. We accept fragments that provide reassurance to us, and we have no desire to acquire further knowledge. While if you really want to go towards a great, vast and pure world, if you want to go towards the light, towards what the ancients called God, that is to say, the beauty of beauties, the wonder of wonders, the mystery of mysteries, the greatness of greatness, that which makes everything beautiful, that which makes all beings in brotherhood, in respect, because God is the mystery, what we cannot grasp, what we cannot touch, what we cannot see, but what illuminates the world, because it dwells in me as thought. But is it a deceased thought? Is it a living thought? Are these deceased feelings? We can certainly dull, lose meaning, lose essence, lose the sense of love, of life, lose the essence of smell, of sight, and lose touch with our innermost selves. One can believe that one sees because one only sees shapes, but there are many ways to be blind. It's not because we see that we see. It would be overly simple, and a being who is cruel does not perceive the world in the same manner as a being filled with goodness. How is it possible to achieve cruelty? Very frequently we observe in humanity things of unbelievable cruelty, but unbelievable. Americans who in Iraq had prisoners, they tortured them. It had caused a scandal. But you know, it was parity. So now there must be women in the army. The most surprising thing, incredible, one would have thought otherwise. By adding women to the army, is it their place? We would have expected it to bring a more human aspect. Is there humanity in war? And here are the big questions. These women are the worst in torture, sadism, and perversion. If man emerges from a specific context, what is revealed, the same man greets you, treats you kindly, but in a different context, he condemns you. He defames you. He's deserting you. Don't you find that astonishing? But in reality, you have a weak being in front of you. You put him in a uniform, you hang a little gun on his belt, and he thinks he's someone I don't know. And he gives you orders. All of this is the mysteries that only meditation can penetrate. Start looking at these worlds, not just the visible world. If you look at the visible world, you can't understand. However, upon observing the imperceptible realms, you attain understanding. He is inhabited by entities, by beings, by thoughts. And what all the peoples in all the worlds were saying was true. All animists were true. And these men knew that there are spirits in the trees, that there are spirits in the flowers, that everything is alive, that everything is animated. Your eyes are alive. And the way you look at the world dirties the world or makes it beautiful. Your ears are alive. But there, it's a whole other story, because we were not educated this way. We were taught to consider nothing was alive, the world was a trash can, I was a trash can, nothing was respectable, I could do whatever I wanted, there was no life in thought or in feelings. But how could we have instructed such absurdity? And how could we have held that belief? And how could we let this happen from generation to generation to end up in a world where everything is dead, where there is no longer the force of life? These are keys. You must drive the awakening of thought. It's a journey, it's a complete journey. First, you must awaken conscious thought. That's what we Essenes call the hair. Then you have to bring this thought down into feelings. Because in life, feelings are cultivated. Thoughts, they are cultivated, like we cultivate onions, tomatoes. If you abandon the land, you don't know what you will reap. But what is certain is that you will die. Your feelings, your thoughts, it's a land that must be cultivated. To harvest onions, plant onion seeds in well-prepared virgin soil. Your heart is a territory. Your head is a territory. Your thought is a territory. It is a seed. It is fruits. You can eat a tomato and find it good. You can eat a thought and find it good. You can see a tomato and it is rotten. You can have a thought and it is rotten. And if you eat rotten thoughts, you end up getting sick. You must know how to nourish yourself with the most beautiful thoughts, the highest, the most elevated. Then thought is linked to feelings. And then feelings are linked to this idea of the egg and the sperm. Is it only sex? Is it solely about sex? No, in fact, it encompasses everything that pertains to sex. Sex means fertilization, means to fertilize. Man impregnates a woman to impregnate the world. The woman fertilizes the world. However, in actuality, the words are a fertilization process. Gestures are a fertilization. When someone does something in front of you, you have a tendency to do the same thing. It is transmitted. It's the whole life. What is the meaning of my activity? So you see, this is a first base. I'm laying a foundation. I'm telling you, that's how it is.